We're taking a look and diving deeper into the southern border enforcement part of that plan. Tucsonan and former Marine Douglas Quets, you'll remember, was gunned down on a trip to Rocky Point last fall in October. Blake Phillips at that time sat down with the father after the death during that intense election season. 6 months later now, Blake, you spoke with him again. How does he feel now about this immigration push?
I mean, the biggest takeaway I had is like 6 months. You know, that may seem like a lot of time, but when you're grieving the loss of such an important family member, there's no amount of time that can help you get over a loss like that. So I sat down again with Doug Quets, who has spent every day since his son's murder fighting for justice. And while progress has been made, he says he's not going to rest.
We still have a huge hole in our hearts, but we take a lot of comfort in knowing that Nick's death has not been in vain.
When Douglas Quets was shot and killed on his way to Rocky Point last October, the Quets family changed forever.
Our family is by no way recovered, and I think part of the loss, our reality is it's never going to be completely away.
Doug Quets served in the Army for over 20 years, a trend you see in the entire Quets family. But as we told you in October, the family was left mostly in the dark until their story caught the attention of then vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance.
And his name was Douglas Quets.
Nick's story turned up the political heat, with the Quets family being invited to speak at a Trump rally. At the time, though, Doug Quets had said this was not a political story. They are an apolitical family, but he had also said justice was his one goal, and he would tell Nick's story to whoever would listen. Over the last few months, officials south of the border have released details to the Quets family and the Mexican media, including arrests they've made and the killing of several people involved in Nick's death.
A few actually resisted arrest, and they were killed by Mexican authorities. A few are under arrest, and they still continue to look for some.
And in these 100 days since President Trump's inauguration, the immigration crackdown has seen less and less illegal crossings every day, an increased military presence along the southern border, and cancellation of Biden-era programs like CBP-1.
I don't think there's anybody who would dispute that the border is more secure now than it was 4 months ago.
For Doug Quets, this gives him some peace, knowing that change is coming. But there is more work to be done.
Nobody would ever want to exchange their son's life for what occurred, right? I mean, that's horrible. But Nick, I'm convinced his spirit does see that he is led to change, and that does give our family a little bit of closure and a little bit of spirit.
Now, just in the last few weeks, the Quets family actually was invited to and went to D.C. by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, talking about a new program that is kind of built to help families who have lost family members in tragedies similar to Nick, It's the Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement Office. So again, that's aimed to provide those resources. So being able to come together as a group to support each other, Doug Quets said, has helped them out. But what stood out to me again, Doug served 20 years in the Army. Now his wife, the rest of Nick's family, all coming together to continue to fight for justice for Nick. In the studio, I'm Blake Phillips, KGUN 9.